The League of Ireland still lives and breathes in small, fierce grounds. These stadiums are the heartbeats of the 2025 Premier Division, compact, loud, and full of history. I'll show you each one: name, location, capacity, when it was built, who plays there now, and the quirks that make it worth filming. Let's dive right in. 10. Sullivan and Lambe Park. Built and opened in 1979 as United Park, the place has been Drogheda United's home ever since. A neat, grass-roof patch of football that has hosted the club through good years and lean ones. Official capacity now sits around 3,500, with roughly 1,500 of those as seated accommodation after phased safety and redevelopment work tightened the limits from older, larger figures. That cutting capacity is an important piece of the club's story. Once you could squeeze far more fans in on big days, but modern safety rules and the need for better facilities trimmed the numbers. 9. The Showgrounds. The Showgrounds official figures sit just under 4,000 in terms of seated capacity in most current listings, though the ground historically held many more for headline fixtures before seats and safety rules reshaped terraces across Ireland. Beyond capacity numbers, what makes the Showgrounds interesting right now is the clear plan to make it bigger and better. A multi-million-euro redevelopment program has been approved in principle, and the club was granted significant state funding under the Large-Scale Sport Infrastructure Fund to deliver a new UEFA Category 3 compliant stadium with a seated capacity in excess of 6,100. 8. Dalymount Park. Opened in 1901, Dalymount earned its status as one of the country's most storied grounds. For decades, it was the biggest regular venue for international fixtures and the place where Irish football's big occasions often landed. These days, Dalymount's working capacity is around 4,500, a lot smaller than its headline historic crowds, but more in line with the club's current needs and safety certifications. The stadium's layout, an old main stand with terracing and a compact pitch, still gives a vintage feel, but the site has been the subject of redevelopment plans for years. Bohemians and Dublin City Council have talked about rebuilding Dalymount to create a modern, all-seated stadium. 7. Galway's Eamon DC Park. Built originally as Terryland Park and renamed to honor one of the city's most loved football figures, the ground today lists a capacity around 5,000 with roughly 3,300 seats after incremental upgrades and a new stand added in recent years. It's compact but comfortable. A covered main stand with seating and smaller terraces gives the ground a bowl-like feel that is perfect for the sort of regional derbies and cup ties that get the town buzzing. Eamon DC Park has hosted underage internationals and provided the setting for Galway United's rise and fall over many seasons. The club, its staff, and its fans treat the site like a local asset rather than a corporate product. 6. Waterford's RSC. Built in the early 1990s, the RSC's official numbers hover around 5,160, according to many professional stadium listings, though other local sources and guides sometimes show slightly higher rounded figures like 5,500. That variation is normal for smaller venues where terracing, standing space, and safety assessments can alter published totals. The RSC's layout includes a seated main stand and running track-style space around the pitch, giving the place a more civic, stadium-on-a-hill feel rather than the cozier, terrace-packed personality of older grounds. For Waterford, the RSC is the hub of match-day activity. It hosts home league games, cup fixtures, and local athletics. 5. Richmond Park. It's the home of St. Patrick's Athletic, and it feels like a club tucked into the skin of the area. The stadium's capacity is small by modern standards, about 5,340, but that number only tells half the story. Richmond Park first opened in the 1920s, and St. Pat's moved in before the Second World War. The ground is a classic terrace and stand mix. A proper main stand with old steelwork and a handful of covered terraces that bring fans close to the touchlines. You can hear everything there: the players' shouts, the referee's whistle, and the crowd's breath. That intimacy is its selling point. 4. Tolka Park. Shelbourne have called it home for decades, and, for 2025, that relationship has been given a long lease. The club secured a secure long-term future at the ground, which matters when you're trying to build fans and facilities. Tolka's capacity is roughly 5,700 today, down from a larger historic figure because of safety and redevelopment that trimmed the old terraces. The stadium first opened in the 1920s, and it grew organically, terrace by terrace, stand by stand. That patchwork gives Tolka a lived-in, slightly rickety charm. It's seen cup finals, European qualifiers, and youth internationals. It's also hosted other sports from rugby league to underage European tournaments. 3. Ryan McBride Brandywell Stadium. Derry City's ground carries its own local poetry. The capacity sits around the mid-6,000s. Most sources list figures close to 6,200 to 6,300, but the Brandywell has always been more about weight than width. Opened in the late 1920s, it's a ground with a long municipal story. Derry City don't own every brick. The stadium is owned by the council, but the club has made it absolutely theirs. In 2018, the ground was renamed to honor Ryan McBride, a local defender who died far too young. That naming shows the emotional ties between club, player, and city. 2. Turner's Cross. Cork City's home capacity sits around 7,485, making it one of the larger grounds on this list. The site's association with sport stretches back well over a century, but organized football as Cork City knows it took shape in the 20th century. Turner's Cross has a coastal city charm. It's a stadium you can walk to from parts of Cork and feel like you've slipped into a neighborhood ritual. The ground has been rebuilt in stages. Rather than one big grand plan, Turner's Cross evolved. New stands went up, terraces adjusted, seats added, and facilities upgraded to meet league and European requirements when needed. That steady approach has created a ground that's modern enough for fans, but not so polished that it's lost its soul. 1. Tala Stadium. It's the home of Shamrock Rovers and the biggest ground on this list, with a capacity north of 10,500. The stadium was conceived decades before it opened. The site and project had fits and starts, funding fights, and planning rose, but by the late 2000s the new Tala was standing, and it changed the game for Rovers. Tala is a purpose-built, four-sided stadium with all stands covered and modern facilities. It's municipally owned yet designed to be a club's fortress. Over the last decade, the ground has seen phased expansions. A south stand completed in 2019, a north stand finished in the early 2020s, and other works that brought the stadium comfortably over the 10,000 mark. And there you have it. Each stadium tells a small story about Irish football itself. The League of Ireland doesn't always have the cash and continuity of bigger leagues. So many grounds developed in pieces. That patchwork gives them texture. The League of Ireland continues to grow its profile, and a ground that can host European qualifiers without last-minute tweaks is at a club's advantage. Thanks for watching. If you love the content, please make sure that you subscribe, like, share, and comment. See you in the next one.